Hello and welcome back to the Sports Beat Podcast. Another big week, couple weeks down. We're busy men, all right? We're grown men. We've got other things to do. We welcome to the show Mr. Kyle Showalter. Man, thanks for coming on, man.
Of course, man. Glad to be back.
Yeah, we knew this was for a debate that we're having today. We need to get somebody on that knew his stuff. And then, as always, we got Mr. Faithful Tristan. Dude, how's it going?
It's going good. Glad to be here.
Yeah. As probably some of you saw, we're going to be doing the greatest quarterback of all time debate. And we're going to kind of push that to the end of the show to talk about a couple of other things, including the Melvin Gordon versus Phillip Lindsay debate, as well as where Cam Newton will go. Because, hey, he's still one heck of a quarterback. So without further ado, before we get into this, make sure you guys subscribe down below for all the latest sporting takes, even though in the middle of a pandemic. Just make sure that you guys takes your mind off. And make sure you guys subscribe, follow us on all social media, on Instagram, Facebook, whatever you feel like doing. And then also, please remember to check out our website at thesportsbeatpodcast.com. I'm not going to put in the www because it's pointless at this point. So anyway, let's jump into it. Let's get to it. I think all of us are rearing to go. So we got to start with this whole running back debate, Phillip Lindsay versus Melvin Gordon. And it's a really good I feel like all the best NFL players at some point were challenged in their career, not necessarily if their team brought in somebody else, but just because they were challenged for whatever reason. Some of the greatest players were always challenged, and I'm a big fan of Phillip Lindsay, and I think he's one heck of a running back. But the Broncos decided to grab Melvin Gordon, and that has to raise the question. There's a couple questions that we have to look here. Number one, who's going to be running back number one for the Denver Broncos in 2020? Yeah, that's the year. And then we also have to see who really we would take in the debate of having Melvin Gordon or Phillip Lindsay. We'll start with Kyle because he's a special guest for the show. Kyle, can you quickly tell me who you think is going to start out with winning it and who you would take?
Well, it's definitely an interesting question because, Melvin Gordon was supposed to be the bell cow running back out of Wisconsin, 15th overall draft pick in 2015. Really stylistic runner. I really like the way that he carries the football. Good out of the backfield, but man, Phillip Lindsay has been so good since he came into the NFL, and I believe it was 2018 was his rookie year. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, averages I believe 4.9 yards per carry in his career. So a very solid running back, and just two very different stories of coming into the NFL, like you said. But I think you'd be foolish to not say Phillip Lindsay has been the better pro so far. I mean, he averages almost a full yard per carry more than Melvin Gordon so far in his young career. He's already been to a Pro Bowl. Melvin Gordon has also been to a Pro Bowl. Phillip Lindsay is just a very strong running back, and I would probably go with him, even though I do like what Melvin Gordon can do. And I think together it's a very interesting grouping. But I'd be interested to see what you guys think about that as well. But Tristan, what do you think, man?
Shoot, I honestly don't view it as much of a competition. I think they're going to keep both the backs for a while. They're going to share carries. They're probably going to damn near split them 50-50, I think. I mean, if Phillip Lindsay is splitting 50-50 carries with Royce Freeman, I think, Phillip Lindsay had 513 carries last year. Royce Freeman had 506. So I think they're going to split it 50-50. If somebody gets the bulk, I think it's going to be Phillip Lindsay because I agree with you. I do think he's a little bit better of a running back, especially due to Melvin Gordon's, his injury issues that he's had lingering going on. But, when he's at his best, he can be very good. It's going to be a healthy competition, I think. I think it'll bring out the best of each other. I think the offense has the potential to be really good and finish probably top 3 in the league in rushing yards Locke doesn't even need to develop for that to happen. Let's see here. Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon, on the roster, they're pretty much the only unquestioned locks to make the roster, obviously. Lindsay's going to get paid, and it should be a pretty good paycheck. He's proven that he's an awesome ball carrier, deserves a second contract with the Broncos. Melvin Gordon signed for 2 years with the Broncos, and he got a lot of guaranteed.
2 years, $16 million.
Yeah, and he got a lot of guaranteed, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I would expect him to see the field quite a bit, even with Lindsay on the field at the same time. So that could be a really fun and interesting situation the Broncos could create, putting 2 running backs on the field. I'm not sure which of them is the better pass catcher. I kind of want to assume it would be Melvin Gordon just because I've seen a lot of him out of the screen game, but I'm not really 100% sure on that. But they've got like 5 backs on the roster. They got Phillip Lindsay, Royce Freeman, Melvin Gordon, some dude, Muhammad, and Jeremy Cox. So, teams typically only stick to 3 running backs on the roster. So there's going to be some cuts. I'd expect it to be Lindsay, Gordon, and Freeman in that order. I think the Broncos offense as a team overall, they're in a really good place with this situation, especially with Drew Lock, a young quarterback you want to develop. It's always good to have solid running backs so you can take a lot of the weight off of his shoulders and let him develop a little more. So, yeah, I see the Broncos kind of making a little bit of a resurgence. I'm not sure if I could consider them a playoff team yet, but I definitely expect them to be near the top of the league in rushing yards.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. Now I got to kind of start out by saying, and before we get to, who would rather take, Phillip Lindsay has clearly been, Kyle Showalter hit right on the head. Phillip Lindsay has clearly been the better running back through 2 years. Two guys, 1,000-yard rushing seasons back-to-back. Guys, he took every word out of the mouth. But here's the reason I would take Phillip Lindsay over Melvin Gordon specifically, and I believe that he's going to win the job outright, is that, to me, Phillip Lindsay seems more of a team player. Like, he seems more worried about winning more, doing the best he can to help his team win. Now, I'm not saying Melvin Gordon is not a team player. He obviously, you have to be somewhat of a team player to be in the NFL, and plus I think Melvin Gordon is a good guy. But the fact that he held out for his money, which he thought he deserved at the time, I questioned it a little bit because I felt like the only, he was injured for a lot of his first couple years coming into the NFL, but then to be able to come back here and really, he lost quite a bit of money for holding out that entire time. But I have to give the man credit. I do think athletically, I believe Melvin Gordon is the better back, like athletically. But as a team-friendly contract, and you said he's going to get paid, probably. But I believe in my soul that Phillip Lindsay will make sure that comes back on a team-friendly contract. It was funny because Phillip Lindsay came out and said, they asked him about splitting carries and probably, going to battle with Melvin Gordon for the running back job, and all he said it was at the end of the day it was about him and providing for his family, and going full bore. Like that's what the NFL is about. That's what you obviously in any position that you're trying to win is about. You go full bore 100% of the time. Like you're not going to give any man a fair shot. You're going to give all you have, and he's going to give all he has. That's all it comes down to. But Phillip Lindsay, I believe. Is just by his backstory, the way he came into the NFL, the way he carries himself, the way he plays the game, I would take him. But I still believe that Gordon is the better back here. Mr. Showalter, no, let's go with Tristan. We like to mix things up here. So Tristan, quickly tell me, who do you think will win the number one spot for the running backs for the Broncos?
I think Phillip Lindsay will probably win it. If I had to put my money on somebody, just because he's been there, he's familiar with the system. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Melvin Gordon's 100% if he outperforms Phillip Lindsay. So I'll pick Phillip Lindsay, but I will not be surprised if Melvin Gordon ends up the starting running back.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Showalter.
See, I really think it's going to end up being a 1A, 1B situation. Melvin Gordon is the better pass-catching back. I got it down here in my notes. He's caught at least 40 passes 4 years in a row. 2 of those seasons were 50-plus catch seasons, one of them being 58 catches in 2018. And Phillip Lindsay has caught 35 passes both of his 2 seasons in the NFL. So Melvin Gordon clearly has that more developed in terms of the aspects of his game than Phillip Lindsay does. And, I think Phillip Lindsay will get more carries than Melvin Gordon out of the backfield. He's clearly established himself as a better pure running back. But I think their touches are going to be pretty close to the same because, Melvin Gordon adds that aspect in the screen game. He's a better pass blocker than Phillip Lindsay is, believe it or not. And, I think Melvin Gordon is probably a less complete back than Phillip Lindsay in terms of running the ball to the backfield. But I think Phillip Lindsay is a less complete back than Melvin Gordon in terms of catching passes out of the backfield. So, it's kind of a give or take with both those guys. They're both incomplete backs. So I think it's really going to be a 1A, 1B situation. They're going to get very, very similar in terms of carries.
Mm-hmm. And I got to say here again, now I'm not dogging on Melvin Gordon. I'm a big fan of him. I believe that he will truly come out next year and have another great season for the Broncos. But I truly expect Phillip Lindsay to be able to come out here and do his thing. Excuse me.
Thank you for watching the Sports Brief podcast. If you would like to see our newest videos, keep in touch with the latest sports issues, or check it out on your favorite team, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, or SoundCloud, and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.